Today, a woman can know she's pregnant within minutes. A small stick, 2 lines, a digital word flashing on a tiny screen. But 3,500 years ago, there was no stick, no screen, no blood test waiting in a lab. And yet, women knew, somehow, across the ancient world, they found ways to read the signs their own bodies were giving them. So, how did they do it? How did a woman living in ancient Egypt, thousands of years ago, come to know that a new life was growing inside her? This is the story of how people tried to solve that mystery, using nothing more than what they could observe, remember, and test. Why this question matters. It's easy to assume that before modern medicine, pregnancy was simply a waiting game. A woman's belly grew, and eventually everyone knew. But that's not quite true. Ancient societies had strong reasons to want early answers. Marriages depended on children. Inheritance depended on children. In many cultures, a woman's status, safety, and even survival could hinge on whether she was carrying a child. So people paid attention closely. And over centuries, they built up a body of knowledge, part observation, part guesswork, part ritual, that let them make an educated guess long before any visible sign appeared. How they did it. The most basic clue was the same one still used today, a missed monthly cycle. Women who lived without modern pregnancy tests still paid close attention to changes in their bodies. When that rhythm changed, it was often noticed. But a missed cycle alone wasn't proof, so people looked further, at nausea, at changes in appetite, at a new heaviness in the breasts, at exhaustion that had no obvious cause. And then in ancient Egypt, people tried something that sounds almost unbelievable today. They used urine and seeds, wheat and barley. The method appears in ancient Egyptian medical papyri dating back roughly 3,500 years. A woman would urinate onto samples of wheat and barley seeds over several days. If the seeds sprouted, she was considered pregnant. If nothing grew, she likely wasn't. And in a detail that still fascinates historians, some accounts claim the type of grain that sprouted first was believed to predict the sex of the child. Now, here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Centuries later, researchers actually tested the ancient method. In a 1963 experiment, urine from pregnant women did promote seed growth in many cases, while urine from non-pregnant women and men did not. Researchers suggested that hormonal changes in pregnancy might help explain why the ancient test appeared to work. It wasn't magic. It wasn't superstition alone. It may have been one of the earliest recorded attempts to detect pregnancy through a substance found in urine, discovered not through laboratories, but through generations of careful, patient trial and error. Elsewhere, people relied on visible signs, nausea, fatigue, changes in appetite, and other changes in the body. Much of this knowledge was passed from one generation to the next, especially through women who had experienced pregnancy themselves. Problems and difficulties. None of these methods were certain. A missed cycle could mean illness, stress, or poor nutrition. Nausea could come from bad food or a passing sickness. Even the sprouting seed test, as clever as it was, could be thrown off by heat, by moisture, by simple chance. So women often lived for weeks, sometimes months, in genuine uncertainty. Imagine that feeling, the waiting, the watching, every sensation in your own body treated as a possible clue, and none of them quite trustworthy on their own. And there was something heavier beneath all of this. Pregnancy in the ancient world was dangerous. Childbirth carried real risk of death, both for mother and child. So pregnancy could bring both hope and fear, sometimes at the very same time. There was also the matter of time. Without any way to confirm a pregnancy in its earliest days, ancient women typically only felt confident once the signs became undeniable. A growing belly, the first flutter of movement, months into the process. Early pregnancy remained, for a long time, a kind of private guessing game, solutions and survival. Yet people adapted, as they always have. Women shared what they knew, Mothers taught daughters. Midwives passed their observations down through generations. In many households, an older woman, grandmother, aunt, or trusted neighbor served as a living source of knowledge, drawing on years of watching bodies change. Rituals and beliefs also filled the gaps left by uncertain science. Prayers were offered. Charms were worn, certain foods were avoided, others were sought out, based on beliefs about what might help confirm or protect pregnancy. It's tempting to dismiss these practices as mere superstition. But look closer and you'll find something else at work. A genuine, careful attempt to bring order to one of life's most uncertain moments, using every tool available at the time. Reflection. Perhaps the most surprising thing is this. People in the ancient world were making their own quiet observations long before anyone called it science. They tested, they observed, they compared results across friends, neighbors, and generations. What seems primitive to us today was, in its own context, remarkably rational. The people of the past were not less intelligent. They simply solved problems with the tools available to them: grain, urine, memory, and each other. It's easy to forget just how different everyday life once was. A woman today can find certainty in 90 seconds. A woman in ancient Egypt might wait days, watching seeds in the sun, hoping for an answer that felt as important as any she would ever receive. Conclusion. The wheat and barley test may sound strange to modern ears, but it stands as a quiet reminder of something powerful. That long before microscopes and laboratories, human beings were already asking careful questions about their own bodies and searching for answers with whatever tools the world gave them. So here's something to think about. If you had lived 3,500 years ago, waiting on seeds in the sun for an answer about your own body, how would that uncertainty have felt? What part of this way of life do you think would surprise you the most? And could you have handled the waiting? Let us know what you think in the comments below.